Hello. Today, we're going to be doing the heavy class guide. This is my second favorite character. I think I'm just particular to anything that just does insane burst DPS or is overly tanky. And the heavy just ticks all the boxes. I think his weakness is like, if you don't have kind of a cohesive team, he can feel a bit wonky early on, but once you start getting up there and you get some perks and you start building your multi-melta, this is when this class becomes absolutely dominant and can really just destroy the entire battlefield as quickly as possible. So we'll talk about the build. We'll just get right to it here. Let me move my character. All right, so for your primary weapon, you are going to run the multi-melta. This is easily the best weapon for this class. It's a wave clear machine. It'll stagger enemies and keep things CC'd for your team. It's just a all-purpose general weapon that you should be using. I will say some honorable mentions in terms of like what's like alternative. You could use the heavy plasma incinerator. This weapon for single target damage is really strong. It has actually insane damage just for like killing the boss. If you do, let's say, the second mission where you have to kill the hive mind or whatever that thing is called, that is like, I'd say this probably outperforms the multi-melta in most scenarios, but like I would still prefer the multi-melta because the wave clear that you get with that thing and the perks that you get with the multi-melta, it just is, I think it outperforms just overall 90% of the mission. But like when you get to that last part and you want to swap to a heavy plasma incinerator, that is okay. That is usually pretty good. It just really depends on what exactly you're looking to do, but not to say that the multi-melta cannot destroy a boss, because it most definitely can. It's just the plasma incinerator is better at boss killing. But by no means is this thing a slouch. So this thing will pretty much put down a boss as well with no issues whatsoever. So my preferred choices are one of two different specs. Okay, I think the range capacity is useless. I don't recommend using this at all. The range makes no sense. This thing does enough damage, and if you're playing correctly and you're dodging appropriately and you're playing at the right distance, then you'll be fine and you won't really lose a whole lot of HP and you won't worry too much about the range capacity. It just doesn't make much sense. The honorable mention that you could theoretically use is the rate of fire version. This one is okay. It's pretty good if you want to just keep burst firing and you just want to keep just mowing the ground. But like I just don't see the problem with this one, but I just don't think you can beat the magazine capacity. The magazine capacity is everything, because once you're out of ammo, like, it sucks. It's like the worst feeling in the world because you just don't have, like, I've been in so many missions early on before I like leveled up my heavy decently to where I don't have that issue anymore. But when you're here down in the mastercrafted area and you don't have that much ammo capacity and the perks that you have aren't adequate, you can very easily run out of ammo on both your secondary and primary, and it can feel absolutely awful. And if you don't have teammates to kind of offset that can feel terrible. So in my personal opinion, I feel like this one is the one that makes the most sense. Yeah, the rate of fire is not that crazy, but it's also not bad either. So while you can use the one that has insane rate of fire, I think just having general ammo capacity is overall more and just makes more sense. Now, as for the perks, it's relatively simple. We are just straight going to the top. Like, that's all we're doing, especially once you get over here to the Artificer tab. You're going to get this one where it's like, while in heavy stance, you deal 15% more damage, and you get 2 of these. So once you master at least the Artificer rank, and then you'll get 2 of these, the 30% damage increase, like, dude, you're gonna feel that insane increase. Because one of the problems that you'll run into also early on is that if you try and do a lot of the 3rd tier higher missions, and even if you try and go on the max difficulty, you'll notice that the multi-melta quite literally does not do enough damage to the extremist enemies and the Majoris enemies, or whichever ones are the actual ones with the swords that have the synapsis link. So those mobs are really tanky, and whenever you start to fight those ones specifically, and even you start going towards the heretics and you're fighting the other, the heretical space marines, those ones are really tanky. And that's where this perk right here, these two are you're gonna feel the absolute most damage. And if you have any of the gold armory data, I highly recommend that you just wait. And if you plan on playing the heavy seriously and it's a class that you thoroughly enjoy and you love, I would hold on to your armory data, that if you have a gold tier, like I have a gold tier in the top right, and I'm holding on to that until I get the relic level, because I think the multi melta at relic level is going to just decimate. And if I want to really farm these armory datas, I think assault is going to be one of the easiest way to kind of get through 90% of the missions, especially if you're playing with a half decent team that knows what they're doing. And even then, you can carry with this thing so easily. Like the wave clear you have, the ammo capacity, the perks, all of it is phenomenal. So realistically, if you do have it, keep it and invest in the relic tier multi-melta. It's gonna feel great. So from this point, if you're already here at artificer level or you're getting to this point, you're gonna then keep going, and this one is death strike. So after killing a Majoris level or higher enemy with a melee weapon, you deal 25% more damage for 5 seconds. And then you're gonna go over here to increase capacity. The maximum ammo reserve of this weapon is increased by 20%. So this is even more ammunition to make sure that you never have any ammo issues whatsoever. And then you're going to go into this last one here. Damage against Tyranid enemies increased by 10%. This one is honestly what you're going to want most of the time, because when it comes to farming the armory data, Tyranids are just like the 2 missions that everybody farms are Tyranid enemies, and that's why you're going to run this one instead. Yeah, you could theoretically go down here to the chaos enemies if you want to like have some diversity or whatever, which you can always change this up to however you want. If you get to this point, you could always go down here and then do like the melee damage, and then you could go into the chaos enemies. I gotta be honest, I just don't, I'm not actively, if I'm going to fight the chaos enemies, I'm probably not going to pick the assault class. I feel like the assault class kind of sucks against the chaos enemies, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it, but for some of you that might be fans of it, that would be the route that you may want to go if you're interested in fighting chaos enemies with this. But overall, if you're trying to just farm armory data, Tyranids are the main enemies, so you're going to want to just basically follow the top line here and just go all the way to the Tyranid eliminator. As for your plasma pistol, it's kind of the same thing that I went over with the bulwark. You're again gonna pretty much sit at the top here. You're gonna go all the way through this entire thing right here, and then you're just basically getting like charge shots, and then you're gonna go up here to this one, and you're gonna go to perfect radius. So a perfectly timed dodge. The damage radius of charge shot increased by 10% for 5 seconds. This is a big one because even though you're using a multi-melta, which is great for wave clear, the plasma pistol is also great for wave clear. So if you want to go ahead and go this route, this one makes a lot of sense, because if you don't want to waste ammo on the multi-melta on like maybe a small pack or something like that, or you just want to maybe get a quick shot off, the blast radius on the plasma pistol will alleviate some of that as well. So you'll have a lot of AoE. And then you could get charged cooling, which charge shots generate 10% less heat, which allows you to do more charge shots. And since I'm running on the plasma pistol, for this one, I'm using the ammo capacity. I did kind of enjoy the playstyle of having the venting speed, and whenever I get a secondary gold tier, I'm probably going to invest in the this one right here, the Crusade. I feel like this is the overall general purpose weapon here, and since the perks for, I think what the hell is this class called? The Heavy? I keep forgetting he's just called a Heavy. All the other ones have like such a cool name, and this one's just called Heavy. The Heavy has a lot of ammo capacity perks in his tree for the perks. So this makes just more sense to forego the ammunition, and it's okay if you run the extra ammo capacity, because you can get up to 160 rounds, and then when you get over to the relic tier, you can get upwards of like 140 with the venting speed version. And then if you want to use the other one, which gives you even more, you can get up to 200 magazine capacity, which will net you about 20 shots if you use the charge version. So both of those are perfectly fine, whichever one you prefer. Okay, it's time to go over the perks now. So some of you guys were like kind of giving some critiques and were saying that like, oh, how can you do a guide if you're not even max level and have all the perks? It's very simple. You can literally just look at the perks and pick which ones make the most sense. It's not rocket science, and arguably you don't need to be max level. For the assault, there's only one perk that you're gonna get here in this bottom tree, and it's Power Regulator. That is the only one that you're gonna really want, and it's where your Iron Halo loses energy 15% more slowly. Arguably, this one is okay, but like if you run this one where the Iron Halo's durability is increased by 20%, you could make an argument that this one is better. It really doesn't make much of a difference. So even though if I was max level, my tree would not look much different. than what I have right now, if I'm being completely honest with you. So like, relax, it's not that crazy. All right, so let's go over the perks here. So this first one, killing 10 enemies in rapid succession restores 1 armor segment. This one I don't think is very good. I feel like multi-kill makes more sense, where killing 5 or more enemies with 1 shot from a multi-melter restores ammo by 1. This one, again, is all about ammo reservation and keeping up and making sure that you don't have to go bone dry on ammunition at all very often. The next one we're going to go with is health increase by 20%. This is so that way you at least have some more tankiness to you in case you do get ran up on, or maybe you're the last one alive of your team and you just need that extra bit of health. This just, honestly, I gotta be honest with you, thermal boost is terrible. This makes no sense. I don't know why this is even like the second thing. Like, they should move this down here to the 3rd tier, because this is like such a terrible this is the worst thing. If you use the multi-melter rifle until you get this second perk, you basically don't even have a second perk, because this one would only indicate you using like the heavy bolter or a plasma incinerator, which is fine. It's okay if you use those weapons, but if you wanted to do a multi-melter build, you're basically down a second perk until you get down here to this one where you're using the health increase. And the 3rd perk, while in heavy stance, dealing damage restores 15% more contested health. I just don't see a need for that. I really don't. Like, I just, it really, I don't see it being that much better than health increase by 20%. It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't tick the box for me. Next, we're going with overwhelming power. When Iron Halo is active, all squad members within 10 meters deal 10% more range damage. So pretty much pop your Iron Halo as much as possible. I'm guilty of this too. I don't use Iron Halo as much as I should. I'm just killing shit so fast that I just forget about it. But you need to be using your Iron Halo, because this perk right here genuinely carries. It's such a good perk and I need to utilize it more. But yeah, do not sleep on Iron Halo. I know you're doing a lot of damage as the heavy. I know you're wave clearing like crazy and you really don't need it, but trust me, Iron Halo will allow you to do that even better. And the first perk, just to kind of talk about it, this one's really bad. I don't think it's good. If you use your charged melee attack, I guess you could run this, but you're not a melee character. Don't do this. Don't waste money on that. And the 3rd perk, versatility, this one's okay. After switching weapons, your secondary weapon does 20% more damage. This is okay if you want to utilize the plasma pistol a bit more offensively and you want to actually get some real damage without burning through your multi-melta armor. So this one's not bad. It's okay. I think the best in slot here is overwhelming power for sure. Your next perk is going to be additional supplies, non-negotiable. You need to run this. If you're not running this, you're throwing, like straight up, you're throwing. First one is okay until you get the second perk. This one's okay, where all squad members take 20% less damage from their range attacks. That can be pretty beneficial, but I feel like if you have a bulwark or if you're playing with a regular bulwark main, this one doesn't really make a lot of sense. I don't know. I just don't see it being that great. And then Bonds of Brotherhood, reviving a squad member restores them to full health. I'm not a support character. I'm not supposed to be a support character. I murder shit. I need ammunition to murder shit. Save this shit for the bulwarks. This is for the birds. This is not for me. Then we get over here to the gear tab, and we're gonna go with Adamant Will. After Iron Halo deactivates, you take 20% less health damage for 5 seconds. Again, this is why you need to keep using Iron Halo, because I know some of you guys are not using it and I'm not using it as much as I should be, but this is how we keep ourselves alive. The other perks, I just don't see them that crazy. Consecutive execution, killing 10 enemies in rapid succession restores equipment charge. I don't really need that. I really just don't need that. It's not that great, and I don't think it's that purposeful. Emperor's Protection, when Iron Halo expends all its energy, 1 armor segment is restored for all squad members. This is okay, but again, I'm not a support class. I am a death machine. I am the Emperor's fucking flaming will. I am not here to be anybody's shield. Again, save this shit for the bulwarks. This is not for me. Next tab over, whatever the hell this word is, Bastion. This one I feel like is kind of best in slot, but I think that there's an argument to be made about Power Regulator, where Iron Halo loses 15% more slowly. That is okay too. I feel like I'd rather just have the durability, so that way I can just, keep up my shield at a lengthier time, or at least not have it burned, because there are situations when you're playing in the higher tier difficulty where your Iron Halo can actually get deleted in an instant. So I feel like this one is okay for higher level, and if you're doing lower level or you just have a really good squad, then this one makes more sense, so you can just keep it up longer. So it really depends on the play style and who you're playing with, but overall, I would either go with the first one or the third one. Second one is not very good, where Iron Halo recharges 20% faster, but its durability is reduced by 30%. I don't know why you would ever choose this. It makes no sense. Like, the other perks don't have a real negative to them, and this one is like a really shitty positive and a really shitty negative. So I have no clue who this is for, but never pick this. And Saving Grace, reviving a squad member fully restores Iron Halo's charge. I don't like this one. But until I get to this one where Brute Force makes more sense, where Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increased by 15%. This is what you want. This is the only one that matters. The third one is okay. It's not great, but it is okay. When Iron Halo expends all its energy, enemies in a 5-meter radius take significant damage. This one is okay. This is the other alternative. I would argue this is S tier, B tier. Absolutely, this one is just kind of whatever. Like, it highly falls under the category of support, and it again, I've said it multiple times, we are not a support class. That is not for us. So yeah, Brute Force, definitely get to this point and pick this one up. This is the only one that matters. And as for your signatures, you are just picking the first one. The first one is the only one that matters. Don't pick any of this other nonsense. You don't need it unless you're picking other weapons. So offensive capability, when active, Iron Halo deals damage over time to all enemies within 5 meters. This is great because we're running the multi-melta. It is a close range weapon, and the version that I recommended is you use the one where it doesn't have the range, where it has the most ammo capacity. So the range is not very lengthy, so you're going to be up close and personal with a lot of these enemies. So honestly, the offensive capability is really, really good. It just pairs well with the build. These other ones are okay though. So if both of your squad members are incapacitated or grabbed, your primary weapon will not overheat. This is good if you're running the plasma incinerator. And the third one, conversion field. When Iron Halo is active, all squad members within 100 meters regenerate ability charge 50% faster. This one's okay. I would argue that the first one is still better, but yeah, that's pretty much the perks. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will go ahead and show some footage of me using the heavy in a couple scenarios, and you guys can kind of get examples of how to play him, how to utilize the kit, and how to kind of move with him. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Confirmed. Major tyranny threat. Restorative procedure successful.
Necessary cleansing to resume operation. Just scaling the walls.
My firing position is no longer secure.
The squad was almost fully committed. Be ready for my mark.
Passive ordnance released.